Let's turn to Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. She's an immigration attorney in Austin, Texas. She's also the board president of Vasiana, an immigration justice advocacy organization. Kate, first I'd like to get your thoughts on the Supreme Court's ruling today. They came out with a ruling about immigration. What do you make of it?
Sure. The ruling today was about whether people who are in the country with temporary protected status can later adjust status. So it's a bit of a technical decision that will change things in some regions of the country and not in others. But it's an unfortunate decision and not heading things in the direction that that I would like to see as an immigration advocate.
So we had this ruling here in Washington while she's in Guatemala, and she had a really tough message for those trying to enter the U.S. illegally. She said simply, don't come. She also outlined a number of initiatives to address this issue, one of which is to tackle corruption. But getting a handle on that is just about as tough as ending illegal immigration. This is a really complex issue, isn't it?
I think so. Sometimes I think people make overcomplicate it. I mean, the truth is we've had a functioning system along the southern border for decades that was broken during the last administration. But before that, for 2 decades or more, we had a system whereby Central American migrants could come to the border seeking protection and take what's called a credible fear interview. And if they demonstrated that they qualified for asylum, they would be allowed in to prepare for their asylum hearings. And if they didn't fail, they were sent home. And what happened is that the border was completely shut off to migrants, which has resulted in, I think, expected chaos as we turn the system back on.
And while she's in Guatemala, Republican Senator John Cornyn, who's from Texas, which borders Mexico, criticized Harris and the Biden administration for this crisis, also called both Biden and Harris out for not visiting the border. Does he have a point?
You know, I think that the Biden administration has taken some positive movements toward assisting migrants. For example, the Title 42 program that completely blocked all immigration for the last year has been lifted as it pertains to children. But the result of that has been chaos, not only as we process in a year's worth of backlog of children, but it also creates danger along the border of families who are seeking asylum, who are getting expelled, and in many cases are getting kidnapped and separated. Children are being sent across alone because it's safer than what the families are facing along the border. So this partial decision by the Biden administration to lift Title 42 doesn't go far enough, and we really need to focus on getting back to where we were in terms of processing asylum seekers, while also focusing on the push factors that's driving Central Americans out of their country, like looking at corruption, dealing with cartel violence, dealing with natural disasters, providing COVID vaccinations. And that is a critical element of a southern border policy, but we also need to quickly return to where we were in terms of allowing people in to pass a credible fear interview if they are asking for our protection, not leaving them to danger.
Kate, do you have much hope that anything will come out of Washington? Because it seems like both sides are so polarized on this issue and nothing's been done on it for years.
It is really frustrating, and it's so long overdue. And in fact, the negative attention on what's happening on the border, I think, is creating a distraction about overall policy changes needed about immigration reform and creating a system that actually responds to the labor and economic needs of the American economy, while also doing something about the undocumented population and the dreamers. I mean, these are things that we absolutely need to be looking at and not just focusing on border policy. That's just a sliver of the immigration pie.